I have this one out at the moment, and I thought I would just do a short video on it. This is a Japanese World War II Arisaka rifle, Type 99. Nagoya Arsenal. I'll show you the Arsenal mark in a minute. This has the distinction of being not one of the Arisakas I picked up in ancient times back in the Reagan era, where I was buying them essentially for $25 and $40 a piece, usually in pretty good shape. Now, of course, the worm has turned on that one, and Arisakas are what, $400, $500, $600, even more. Type 38s, Type 99s. Forget about the carbines; they're going to be a lot more. It's intact. It's mostly in military kit. It has been, like so many of these rifles, it has been played with. Somebody had to try to improve it. I'm pretty sure this finish is not what was on there when it left the arsenal. It's just a little too good. Usually the finish on these things looks like old barnwood, if it's to match the metal that's on this rifle. And somebody's been altering some barrel bands and basically having the usual Bubba time with it. Anyway, I would consider this a wall hanger. This particular rifle, while there is visible rifling in the barrel, and it's not even particularly badly rusted, not that I can see, it's shot out at the muzzle. If you were a skilled gunsmith and really, really, really needed to fire this, I suppose you could do a counterbore on it. I kind of suspect that's what somebody was going for with this. It just looks a little too clean up there, but they really didn't do a very good job of it. They did not set the crown further back in the barrel, as they should have done for a true counterbore. It just sort of peters out, you know, so you have like a blunderbuss up there effect, which you could just forget about any kind of accuracy. And since I have zero plans to fire this, I don't even have any 7.7 millimeter ammunition ammo for this that I'm aware of anyway. I do have 6.5, but I don't have 7.7. That's what the 99 uses. This is not what some people would refer to as a last stitch, which is just a late war. They made them 41 to 45. And as the time progressed, these rifles lost more and more of the features that kind of made them special. You know, first to go was the monopod, the action cover, the anti-aircraft wings. Now this rear sight, where would they have attached? Oh no, this does not even have anywhere where you could attach anti-aircraft sight. Okay, they're just gone. There's no chrome bore in there, that's gone. But the wood's fairly good. It has a steel butt plate still. That would become wood later on. It is not, get out of there, B. It is not overwhelmingly full of chatter marks, tool marks, and file marks as the late war rifles by the time they hit late 1944 to 1945. That's how they looked. Now, how did somebody play with this? I covered the fact I'm pretty sure somebody's been refinishing on this stock a little bit. Now look at this. Look what they did to the barrel band. I don't know how they did that without actually cutting into the wood, but somehow they did. Why? I don't know. They also got rid of the bolt that went here. They probably snapped it. It's got a nut and a bolt now, which is, well, it is what it is, I guess. Up here, they buggered the hell out of those screws. They really did a good job on that, didn't they? And look what they did on the other side. Yeah. Somebody was trying to drill something there. Guess they couldn't get it off. Must have managed it somehow eventually, because it looks like they had this off when they refinished it. And they probably did some cleaning on the metal a little bit too. It's mostly matching, but one thing that kind of differentiates this from most of them is it does have an intact chrysanthemum. That's this right here. And I covered this in a video from like 15 years ago, probably. But the chrysanthemum is the Emperor's stamp. That means this rifle belonged to the Emperor of Japan, and it was standard operating procedure for a Japanese soldier to deface that mark if he was certain he was going to die in battle and there would be nobody left to retrieve his weapon. He would not disgrace himself and the Emperor by leaving that mark on there. And after the war, MacArthur ordered that all chrysanthemums were to be ground off of or otherwise removed. the Japanese weapons, the ones the Japanese military was keeping, the ones that were being turned in to U.S. forces, whatever. They had to be removed, which is usually done with a grinder. They simply ground it off, or most of it off, as the case may be, and left it at that. But ones captured before the end of the war and brought home by G.I. Joe usually do have an intact chrysanthemum like this one does, or they might have some lines across it, which would have been done by a Japanese soldier in the field by placing the sharp edge of his bayonet across that and slamming a rock down or a hammer on the other side to create a line across it, thereby indicating it is now removed from the Emperor's service. There were other ways chrysanthemums were defaced also. The school rifles, which would have had 3 concentric circles placed over that, indicating the rifle was removed from military service to be sent to a training academy, a school, or something like that. Yes, Japanese school children in that era did actually train with real weapons. And you can see the cocking piece still has all the knurling on the back. That would disappear later on too. And right there you see the 3 circles. Small circle on the bottom, big circle on top, bigger circle around all 3. That's Nagoya. I don't know if I could really get a picture of what this bore looks like. It's pretty bad. You see how perfectly round that looks? It's not supposed. You should see the ends of the rifling there. They are not there. Somebody went to town with that. The cleaning rod stud, which would have been here, is gone. It might have had a full cleaning rod. Later on, it went to like just a little piece of a cleaning rod in there, so it looked like it had one, and then it just disappeared altogether. The rear sight, as you can see, by the end of the war, all you saw was this. The ladder sight was gone. That was it. It was a very, very simplistic rifle by that point. I mean, it's a shame that it wouldn't really make a good shooter because it is solid, despite shit like this. Now, that barrel band, I just did a quick check on eBay. Cheapest I saw in there with shipping and tax and everything would cost about $50. And some of them were in nicer condition, were over 100. And I'm like, whoa, there was a time I could have bought that for 25 cents. And so I'm not fixing that. It's just going to stay the way it is. Unless I stumble across one in my own parts supply, which is entirely possible. I did have some Arisaka parts lying around. You know, this was a pretty advanced rifle for its time. And you could see here around there how there's dark wood there that they didn't quite sand off when they refinished everything. And the remains of little scratches under the wood that they didn't quite sand deep enough, but that's okay. At least they didn't totally destroy the stock. It's hard to find decent wood in a lot of Arisakas. Japan is not known for having a huge amount of hardwood. In fact, I don't think they have any. They have to import it. And Asia in general really doesn't have a lot. You know, China had the same problem. So to find a stock that's solid, it's pretty good shape. You know, a lot of these things were relegated to the basement, the outhouse, the shed after the war, where wood became dry rotted. It was cheap wood to start with. It became dry rotted and essentially useless. This is a nice stock on here. Oh, the Arisaka. Yeah, like I said, I touched on a few of the ways this rifle was pretty advanced for its time. Obviously, the whole anti-aircraft sight thing, where the little wings popped out here so you could lead on an aircraft. Kind of hopeful, wishful thinking, I guess, but they had it. There was a monopod attached to the front, or attached here actually, would swing down, and you could use that to steady your aim. The action cover, this still has the rail cut in there for it, that little channel there. See it? That is for the action cover. What else? Chrome line bore, that was a biggie. As far as I'm aware, Arisaka, the 99 was the only rifle of the war that had a chrome lining in its bore to help it resist the corrosive effects of corrosive primed military ammunition. They had mercury salts in the priming compound that would deposit themselves in the bore and just rot the hell out of the steel if it wasn't cleaned right away. And in heat of battle, sometimes it could be days or even weeks, or maybe never to clean it. You know, if somebody was killed, this rifle could lie on a battlefield for a long time. By the time somebody picked it up, it's rotted out. It's no good. You know, it's all pitted and dark and sewer pipe nasty inside the bore. You can see the metal is a little bit rough. I mean, this being, you know, first manufactured in 1941, it never got that super fine, nice finish, commercial grade finish you will sometimes see on the Type 38s made before the war, when there was plenty of time to, you know, to do a really nice job on them in the 1920s and 30s and all of that. These were made under wartime conditions. Yeah, in 41, we weren't really bombing the hell out of the factories quite yet. In fact, some of 41, obviously, most of 41, they were not even at war with the United States yet, not until December of 1941. 42, we hadn't really started bombing the hell out of Japanese cities. 43, 44, 45, yeah, that's a different story. Then things started to go downhill in a hurry. And but these rifles never really had that fine finish to them. It was always a little bit rough, and that is the case here. You know, it's not, the metal finish is not all that great. There is a little bit of pitting on there too. You know, they needed rifles, and they made them as quickly as they could, any way they could. I don't remember where I got this. I acquired this within the last 5 or 6 years. I think it was from a friend of mine, and it would have been cheap. If I bought it, it would not have been a lot of money. You know, maybe a couple of hundred. I don't really remember. I'd have to look it up. I could have paid more, but I doubt it, because I have so many of them. I mean, I have nice 99s, you know, even early ones from 41 that have all of those features I just mentioned. I have stuff like that. But this would have been the last one I acquired. I don't anticipate acquiring any more. Yeah, you know, unless, like I said, they come to me really cheap. And aren't wall hangers. I don't need any more wall hangers. I have plenty of Arisakas that could fit that category. Look at that bee. That bee really likes this for some reason. Maybe he's in this lawnmower I'm playing around on here. I don't know. Better not be. I figured, you know, we go over this a little bit, take a look at it. You can see the trigger guard there is a little bit on the rough side. The bluing is thin now. It may be thin from rust, but I don't think it was really that deep blue you find on some Mauser rifles and stuff like that. That was not the case here. This had the downturn bolt, like the US model 1903 and the German K98K, something that the Soviet rifle, the Mosin Nagant, never got. Another advancement in the middle of a war, you know. And you know something? I actually have a bayonet that would match this pretty good. I don't know what I did with it, but I recently acquired a bayonet. I just thought about that now. That's about the same level of finish that this has. So it would have been made right around the same time frame as this, probably. And it will work nicely. I don't know what that is on the butt plate. And it looks like an old rubber band. Starting to get a couple of bees now. Get out of here, bee. I don't want to play with you. Go away. All right. Before the bees come out here and sting my ass, I think we've had enough of a look at an Arisaka Type 99, the last one to enter my inventory. Or my collection. I don't have an inventory.